right. A lot of people throw out this phrase, separation of church and state, you know? And it isn't always explained. It isn't always, it just, a lot of times in our circles, it's just really taken for granted. And I guess I want to know your thoughts. Why should we do that? Why should we separate government and religion? Is there something noticeably good about that? Or is it just a preference that you have because, hey, man, I'm non-religious?
Right. Well, number one, here in the United States, we don't live in a theocracy. We don't live in a religious state. I know a lot of people like to say that the United States was founded as a Christian nation, and that's simply not true. The more you dig into that, that is absolutely not the case, and I don't think that you would want it to be. I feel like you could ask a Southern Baptist, did they want to live under Christian law? Well, then you got to pick which ones. Is it the one that allows for multiple wives? Is that the one? What about the snake handlers? What if they said your kid has to handle a snake every morning when they go to school, just like saying the Pledge of Allegiance, based on what the Scripture says? You wouldn't agree with that, Yeah. So it gets to be a confusing mess whenever you start trying to govern a people based on religious law. So let's just not do that. I'm all for freedom of religion. You should be able to pray wherever you want to, whenever you want to. You should be able to teach your kids in your house about any religion. If you're Buddhist or Hindu or Christian or Muslim, I have no problem with you teaching that to your kids in your home. But you don't want someone saying, hey, when your kid goes to school, they will learn the teachings of Buddha. They will learn the teachings of Allah. They will learn the teachings of Vishnu or any other God. The only one that you might be in favor of is your God. And so it's important to separate the organization and the governing of people from religion. And so I'm all for freedom of religion and people's freedom to practice their religion, but freedom of religion also means freedom from religion. So the same as I want you to be able to practice your religion, I don't want it forced on me, and you don't want mine forced on you, or anyone else's forced on you. So we should separate these two things.
So it protects
and keep them separated.
So it protects both ways, the religious and the non-religious.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, because if we do decide that we're going to say, okay, now we're going to live under a theocracy, well, okay, now begins the task of picking which one.
Right.
So if we go with the Southern Baptist, okay, now we've established this is a Southern Baptist theocracy here. Well, how do you think the Catholics or the Mormons or how do you think the Methodists are gonna feel about that?
Right.
And the Presbyterians and the Lutherans, I think I learned years ago that speaking of this separation of church and state, and there will always be a wall that separates, and keeps these things separate. I think it was the Baptists in Danbury, Connecticut, that were very concerned about they were being persecuted, and they wanted to make sure that they would, that there wouldn't be laws passed that said that they weren't allowed to practice their religion. And I know who they were concerned about, who they were being persecuted by. Do you know who that was?
Yeah, another religious group in the area.
It was the Congregationalists of Danbury, Connecticut. It was another religious group that they were being persecuted by. So I think, I could be mistaken, but I think it was Thomas Jefferson that said there will forever be a wall of separation between church and state.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah, and I think that we should just maintain that. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not wanting to change anything.
Right.
I'm not wanting to change it. I'm just wanting to maintain that separation.
Yeah.
That's all.
I like that, man.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing to push for, and I think that's one of the big reasons why we're doing this thing here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.